What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another episode of the TPT podcast. We are back after a little bit of time away. I was out at the hospital for a little bit, but I'm doing a lot better. And of course, with me, as always, doing an amazing job. Give it up for Zach, everybody. Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Life is beautiful. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
There's many blessings. So today's been a good day. How about you, man?
You're doing well, man. Doing well. Just looking forward to some Chiefs football here and just talk some Chiefs football. It's like as the season gets closer, I kind of felt like after the Super Bowl, I was kind of just like, yeah, whatever. The Chiefs won it, and it was just kind of not really like that super high. Obviously, I was happy for my team to win the Super Bowl, but as we kind of just get closer to the draft, and it's like you kind of have a roster that's forming, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm kind of getting more excited. I'm kind of really missing like just Sundays Chiefs football. Watched a little bit of the UFL, but I'm still just wanting that like Chiefs football and obviously, we're going to get into a lot of things that's been going on. We're going to address the stadium, what's been going on with that. We're going to address Rasheed Rice, of course. I know since we've been gone, we've not been able to talk about that. We're going to get into, we talked a little bit about Chiefs going to go international and getting the international player and bringing him over here. So we're going to get all that, and of course, the NFL draft. We're going to get into that. So the first thing, Zach, I kind of wanted to get out of the way is to kind of got to peel that nasty band-aid off is Rasheed Rice. What's going on with our boy Rasheed Rice?
I mean, kids get into trouble. How old is he? 24, maybe 25 years old. Uh,
23 maybe.
yeah. I mean, I know he was old coming out, but I mean, the kid is gonna make a mistake, and most kids do make one mistake. And the good thing about mistakes is that you learn from them. Just like you learn from success, you learn even more from failure. And so if he really has a good head on his shoulders, he won't get in any trouble like this again because this really has put a lot of stuff into jeopardy. If the accident had been worse, he could have gotten Henry Rose. He could have been exiled from the league and put in prison.
Right.
And so he really is lucky that it turned out how it did. And so if he's as smart as he had come off before this incident, he'll learn from it. Maybe get a few game suspension, but I mean, what's a suspension? So
Yeah, yeah. I think that, and that's the thing I think that'll be addressed. Is I'm seeing some people say a season. I'm seeing some people say. I've even had some people, in some of our chats and some of my lives saying a whole, he should be banned from the NFL. I don't think anything that extreme should take place. I don't think he should get a whole season ban. But I think he should get 4 to 6 games. I think that's what it's going to look like. Some people say, oh, he'll only get like 2 games, maybe. No, I think he'll get 4 games. That's my prediction. If you look at some similar other cases, um, it'll be that. Obviously, now if he gets charged with a felony, it could be more. It could be like 8 not to 9 games. But if it's kind of all handled outside of court, and he kind of just like, hey, those 6 or 7 people that were involved, here's a new car, here's an, kind of again handles it outside of court and is able to settle things with people. And he doesn't have to do any jail time, which I don't think will do jail time. Period. Um, but if he doesn't get charged with something, which he most likely will, but just nothing extreme, I think it's going to be 4 games. But that being said, yeah, it was dumb. What he did was very dangerous and very dumb. I'm not going to sit here just because he's a player that plays for my favorite team. Because if he was a Joe Schmo in the street and that was a video that came out, I'd be like, this guy's an idiot. This
yeah.
guy's dumb as hell doing something like that. If he was a Raiders player, like Henry Ruggs, I didn't make fun of Henry Ruggs because of the situation where it was very sad. But I'd be, bashing him and saying, oh, that was a really dumb thing to do. So yeah, I'm gonna sit here and absolutely say I love Rasheed Rice. He's my favorite Chief, probably one of my favorite Chiefs players, probably more than Mahomes. But it was very stupid of him to do. And again, I think he will learn from this. Like we said, he's 23, maybe 24. He's very young. He's our age. He is
Yep.
our age. We do stupid stuff all the time. So yeah, I think he should be suspended. He should be fined. He should be suspended. He has to be held accountable. Some people are saying, "Oh, they should just fine him and then that's it." No, no, Chiefs fans, listen. He should absolutely have discipline for what he did. You cannot be that reckless. And again, I wouldn't have minded if he would have caused the wreck. It was dumb. He's racing on the streets. But the fact that he left the scene of the crime, that was the big no-no for me. So I do think he should be suspended some games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I hear that type of news about a Chiefs player, I really don't look at it too different than any other player
Right.
because as much as I care about our players, we'll be fine without a player on a suspension. And so really, I
Mhm.
just want for the punishment, whatever it is, to make an impact so that Rasheed won't get in that type of trouble. And it's the same with any other player. And so, yeah, the
Yeah.
situation sucks, but hopefully we're lucky no one's hurt.
Right.
Hopefully Rasheed, just doesn't do that again, and then we can move on. So
Yeah. I don't think he's the type of guy where this is like a pattern. I mean, we did see what Frank Clark have Uzis in the back of his car, and he got, I think, a 2 game suspension. Or maybe it was 4, but two. I think it was 2 to 4 game suspension. So again, the people are saying it's going to be 8 to 9 for Rasheed Rice. I don't think it will. I don't think it'll be that many games. But I do think they will be fine without him. I think they're going to get a receiver in the draft. But now I think that, which is him being suspended, leaves another thing for kind of NFL fans and NFL Network and ESPN to kind of be like, the Chiefs are going to struggle the first part of the season without Rasheed Rice, without their number one receiver, and then they're going to go like 7-1, and then everyone's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, the Chiefs are still able to win." It's like, yeah, well, again, there's always going to be something that's supposed to set them back. All in all, again, I think this is where it kind of leads into our next topic: is the draft. Is this now where it's like the first round has to be a receiver, like, and 100% has to be a receiver in the first round?
the way I think about it is the receiver class is very deep through the first few
Oh
rounds.
yeah.
And it's also a solid tackle class. Now the tackle class is a lot more top heavy. Like we might see 5 tackles in the top 20 picks. Like that's a real
Hmm.
possibility. And the defensive line class is good as well. And it really just depends on who is the best player available at those 3 positions. And I think if it's close between D line, tackle, and receiver, I think they give those first 2 positions the nod. Just because in the second round we still have a chance of getting a really good receiver that would be a top 5 to 7 receiver in any other year. And so that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I don't think it's a like that. Chiefs have to. I don't think they have to go get a receiver in the first round. It depends who's there. Because, like you said, this is a deep class. Is there any names if there was a certain receiver there at our pick where you're like, yes, you have to go with the receiver?
Honestly, if we have to take a Brian Thomas if he falls to us, because it is very unlikely he falls to us. But the guys that are mocked around us, if there's a better tackle available or a better D lineman available, I don't think it's a must pick. A guy like McConkey, I like. I
Hmm.
like a guy like AD
For sure.
Mitchell, but are they
Yes.
must picks over the other positions of needs? I don't know. So like a guy like Brian Thomas would fit that mold, but I've seen him mocked a lot too, even as early as
Right.
Cincinnati, which is in the mid-teens, I believe. And so he's definitely not making it past Buffalo if he's there. And so honestly, I don't see many must picks. It really depends. Like, do the top tackles all get drafted? Same with the top D line guys.
Yeah. And like you said, there's some teams that are starting to really show now that they need receiver. Obviously, you have Buffalo. I think New York could be a team. You have the Bengals. If they trade T. Higgins, they're a team that's going to need. I know T. Higgins requested a trade, so they're a team that could potentially be looking for a receiver. Chargers absolutely need a receiver. Broncos. There's several teams that are ahead of us that need receivers, and teams that could trade above us. So yeah, you could have it where a lot of just the really good receivers are out of the first round. You don't want to reach. So if there's a guy you can get in the second round, get him in the second round. Like you said, a lot of people are fascinated with Xavier Worthy. Are you on that train?
No, I'm not. I mean, I am on the train of him as a player. Okay, but we're at pick 32, and I think there are guys that are better than him that we could fall to that range. And so for that reason, I'm not thinking about it at pick 32, and he's going to be gone before our second round pick. That's for sure. And so really, it's not me not being a fan of him as a player. It's more just like he's not in our range if we're trying to get the best value at our 32nd pick. And so, but one thing I do want to point out is like how quick the league can shift when it comes to like, I mean, if you look at the Bills and Chargers last year, those are two probably top 6, 7 receiving cores, depending on
Right.
if you're counting how good Stephon Diggs was at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year.
Right.
And now they're probably the two worst receiving cores in the league. And those are
Right.
two of our biggest rivals, at least rivals in the sense of like
Right.
they're in our conference and they have good quarterbacks. And
Right.
so, and now we have Rice and Hollywood, and we'll probably pick up another guy in the first couple of rounds. And so that's just a blessing because, man, like I
Yeah.
dreaded going against Mike Williams and Gabe Davis, and they weren't even the best receivers on their teams. And so now we don't even have to worry about that for those two teams. So,
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's almost like some of these teams, and again, I think the Houston Texans, we all saw the news. Stephon Diggs going to Texans. I want to kind of get your opinion on that. It's like, to me, obviously, I sit there and I'm saying, oh my God, that's the Texans are going to be a good team. But do you have that like worry about the Houston Texans?
I do. I do about as much as I did for the Bills going into this year. I would pick us over them every time. But I mean, CJ Stroud, I knew it coming out. I saw him in that national semifinal game, and I was like, he is the most accurate quarterback that's come out in a while. He is underrated athletically, where people think he's not that type of running quarterback because he doesn't run in college, but he's
Yeah.
proven that he actually has the athletic ability to do that if he needs to. And he really, there's been a lot of plays last year where it's like this guy looks like Mahomes with him extending the play and throwing off bounds, off his back foot. I love CJ Stroud. He's probably my second favorite quarterback behind Mahomes right now. And I do look at them, but I look at it more as like I like this team. I'm glad that we have some more competition rather than the Bengals and Bills. I hate Josh Allen and Joe Burrow especially Josh Allen, because it's like whatever we do, it seems like he's able to pull out something. So
I think it's like, obviously, I think like you said, I think the Bills, I don't know if they're at this point, as we speak right now, I don't see them being a playoff team. Even the Bengals, in the way that division is stacking up right now, if they do end up shipping T. Higgins off, they're another team where it's like Joe Burrow really has to showcase what he is as a quarterback, like Josh Allen does this year, because it's like you're kind of just working with like, obviously you're working with Jamar Chase, but you're kind of working just with a bunch of leftovers at that point, and rookies. And while these other teams are all kind of taking a step up, and that's how I kind of feel it is. And, I could be wrong, but I feel like the Bengals and Bills are kind of taking a step back while you have the Texans and you have some of these other teams that are kind of Ravens, Browns. You have some of these other teams who are like, hey, we're kind of forming something here, and they're kind of taking a step up. And you may have this new kind of wave of teams in the AFC that are going to try to contend with the Chiefs. And I think the Texans are that team. I think they're maybe a year or two away because I don't think just necessarily Stephon Diggs, as good as Stephon Diggs is, he just has not been the dominant guy he's been in the playoffs and the big moments. He just disappears, but he's still gonna, obviously, it's another layer of talent for the Houston Texans. And even again, you still have the Jags in that division if they are healthy. They were 8-2 last year before they kind of got those injuries. That they can kind of make something for themselves too. They just got to stay healthy.
I'm not a Jags believer because I'm not. If you look at Trevor Lawrence compared to the other quarterbacks in the AFC, he's like probably below average, which is crazy to say. It's just our conference is stacked to the brim, or filled to the brim with quarterbacks. And right. I honestly think that this is the most confident I've been going into a season about our own conference, not necessarily our team, but about us being able to win our conference since that 2020 season when we just like mopped the floor with everyone. Because
no, continue. I'm sorry.
Houston, like you said, they are stacked, but there's a good chance they're a year or two away. I mean, they still have second-year head coach, second-year quarterback, on top of the fact that the Bengals' defense is not what it was when they were our rivals.
No.
Their offense isn't either.
No.
Their O-line's better, but they're losing Boyd. Burrow, we don't even know if he can throw properly. I mean, we don't know about that wrist.
Yeah, again, I would not be shocked if you look up and it's, the new year, and I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but you have the two biggest threats to the Chiefs, the two biggest thorn Chiefs side the last 2 years aren't in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You have and have came at me in my and my TikToks, my lives, and some of my social media. Steelers got better, if you believe it or not.
Yep.
They were a playoff team with Mason Rudolph last year. They have their defense, and they still have some talent over there. The Ravens, they're the Ravens. They're going to be probably this. They're probably going to be
the regular season.
Yeah, they're going to be the second best, probably the best team in the AFC, and they're going to be the best team in their division. And then the Browns. You had Deshaun Watson, who was inconsistent, but still went 6-2 as a starter, and then beat Lamar Jackson and put up 40 points in Baltimore.
And they're getting they didn't have Nick Chubb last year. They didn't have.
And then correct. Yeah. And they didn't have Nick Chubb, and you didn't have your best player on offense. So not only do the Cincinnati Bengals have the worst defense in that division, and maybe the third best offense in that division. Yeah, maybe the third best offense in that division.
That's probably 3 top 5 defenses in that division that Joe Burrow's going to have to go against, coming off a wrist or elbow surgery, whatever it was, every single week.
And with the worst offensive line.
Yes, and now they did make upgrades with their tackles against Trent Brown, and they might actually have a decent line. But
it's weird. They don't have horrible names on that offensive line. They just never can put it together. I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's the constant. The reason why, again, the Chiefs, obviously they have talent on their offensive line, but and you see this with other offensive lines. You may look at an offensive line like the Bills. They don't have great names. They have, they had Moose and they had
Dawkins.
And Dawkins. That's really it. But why are they still able to, play good football? Is because they've had that same offensive line for the last 5 years. Because those guys are able to, and that thing about offensive line, if you can have an offensive line, you keep, under the same umbrella for years, they're able to mesh. And that's why that first year that Chiefs got that new offensive line, I didn't think it was going to perform as well as it did. Because I'm like, it's a whole new offensive line. They're not going to know each other. That guard doesn't know the tackle. The center doesn't know the right guard. They're going to have to mesh. But they clicked like that, and that's very rare. So I think that's kind of the Bengals' problem, is the Bengals every year, they put $500 million. That's not an exaggeration. You can Google this, guys. They put $500 million in their offensive line, and it has not been a top 15 offensive line the last couple of years. They put $500 million into their offensive line, and it just hasn't worked. So yeah, I think if you look at it, the two top teams that have been the thorn in the Chiefs' side potentially could have some trouble this season, because you have the Bengals in their division, what's going on, and then again, even in the Bills division. The Dolphins are always a great regular season team.
Bring up the Jets.
What are the Jets? The Jets won 7 games with Zach Wilson. And a lot of people are going to say, well, Aaron Rodgers is old and washed. The man was out of a boot within 2 weeks. I am not questioning that man's health. When he was out of a boot in 2 weeks. Now, is he going to be a 40 touchdown guy? He doesn't have to be. They have plenty of talent over there. They have a really good defense. They won 7 games. You're telling me they can't get to 9 to 10 wins with Aaron Rodgers? With Zach Wilson?
I'm not even gonna lie. I put a $50 bet on the Jets to win the Super Bowl at plus 2,700. I would get over $1,000 if that.
I think the Jets have a great opportunity to win their division. Patriots. No, I have no faith in the Patriots. Yep. But again, I think this is they're in 2 divisions where, again, you have the top 2 teams. And I think you're going to really see this year that there's going to be some new teams on the rise in the AFC. And, of course, you're going to have your Chiefs. And that's kind of where I kind of wanted to wrap things up a little bit here as we kind of close, is who are some of the guys where it's maybe not getting as much talk or as much hype, where you're saying this is what we really should be looking forward to this upcoming season?
Honestly, for me, it's still Rice, which is crazy to say, because he's been basically a viral figure since the Super Bowl. All the girls love him on TikTok. He killed it during the playoffs, and he got obviously in this drama. But we did not see Rashee Rice. He's a slot guy, okay. We did not see Rashee Rice with an actually capable field stretcher, like Marquise Brown is going to be. We saw him with
Yeah.
MVS, who teams basically were like, okay, we'll put our guy on you, and he'll run with you, and we know he's not even going to throw you the ball, so it doesn't matter. And so our offense struggled partly because we just didn't have that field stretching that we normally do when we had Tyreek Hill, Watkins, when Hardman was a 800-yard receiver his first year. And so I'm looking at that, and I'm saying he's going to eat. He's going to eat like Kelsey used to eat, because Kelsey, we saw him take I don't want to say a step back, because in the playoffs he turned it on, but we took some off his load last year, and I expect that to happen again. He's about to be 35 years old, and so Rashee Rice is gonna go for 1,250 easy.
Yeah, I still think, even if he misses, 2 or 3, 2 games, 4 games, whatever it may be, he could be 1,000-yard receiver. And I think Hollywood Brown, and we've seen a lot of people say, like, if Hollywood Brown can stay healthy, this offense, and that's what makes it so dangerous. If you're another team, is this offense was a 7th ranked offense last year. You're probably going to have all the guys coming back you had last year. You're going to have Kelsey. You add Irv Smith to be a blocker. You have your running backs in the backfield. But now you're going to add probably, like, and say, the most popular guy, the most name that's been thrown out is Xavier Worthy. You could add a guy like Xavier Worthy. You could add one of these rookie receivers. Plus, you have what's on the roster right now. You're bringing your offense back in the top 3, plus a top 5 defense. I don't know if they're going to be the number 2 to 3 ranked defense again this year with losing Snead, but I don't think they're going to fall out of the top 5 because they lost Snead. I know you still have McDuffie, you still have Watson.
Everyone but Gay and Snead. That's it. Everyone.
Right.
And I mean, and we can easily not replace what Snead did last year, but we can replace Snead. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's no replacing what he did last year. It was Revis S.
Right. Yeah, it was. 100%.
There's still veteran cornerbacks that can still play, that were that prototypical, just like, put me on your best guy. They're still out there. There's Stephon Gilmore, there's Xavier Howard. And so they're not near, especially Howard, they're not near Snead's level at this point. But a signing like that can, for the most part, fill what he's been for the last few years. And in the draft, we still can get a better D lineman, improve our pass rush. I mean, sky's the limit with the Chiefs, because there's been no offseason where we've come out and we've been like, oh, we're in cap hell. We have to do this. We have to cut this many guys. And we need to somehow figure it's like Veach has a well-oiled machine where he knows what's going to happen 3 years in the future. And he knows, I'm going to re-sign this guy. I'm going to trade this guy, and I'm going to draft this guy with this pick. And that's why we're the Chiefs. So,
right.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. I think the Chiefs have made the right move. And the way that Spags has been just dialing things up as a defensive coordinator, where he's been able to get pressure, you're able to get Chris Jones back. And the guy I really think is going to take a huge step up, and you're going to see a monster this year, is George Karlaftis. He tied the team with, I think, 11.5 sacks this year. Yeah. I think, or 10.5. It was 10.5. Yeah. I think he's going to take a huge step up. I think he can get into the teens with sacks this year. And I think he's going to do very, very well. It just every year I feel like his first year he did well at the end of the season. And now he's really starting to find his groove with Chris Jones out there and some of these guys. I want to see Menahue back. I think he's still with the Chiefs. I think he signed a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
I think he's still with the Chiefs. If he comes back healthy, I think. And we've got to remember, he missed 6 games last year. And when he came out, he had 5 or 6 sacks on the season. So he played very well. And I want to see them bring back Mike Dana. I know he's still out there.
We re-signed him.
Okay, they re-signed Mike Dana. Perfect. Okay.
3 years, $24 million.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. Well, he's going to have to play $24 million type play this year, and he did play great. He was leading the team in sacks for the first part of the season. He did very, very well. So I like Mike Dana. I thought he had a very good season. And again, they brought back the guys. And that thing, a lot of Chiefs fans, some of them were upset we didn't go get all these guys. You just won the Super Bowl. Bring back your roster. You don't have to go sign all these guys. That's not, it's not Madden. So I don't think you just need to go spend money to spend money. Real quick before we get out of here, last question I'll ask you. A 3rd round pick in Kadarius Toney for T. Higgins.
Nope.
Yes or
I don't
no?
want it. I don't want T Higgins. I've let you know that. I don't want that guy. He's
No
good. I
T.
don't want him.
Higgins.
He's good. Let him go
No,
somewhere else. If he leaves
no
Cincinnati,
T.
that's
Higgins.
enough for me. I don't need him.
Exactly. I agree. Zach, any last thing you want to get off your mind here before we wrap it up?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have the best special teams unit in the NFL next year. Like,
Yeah, no, we forgot.
we
Yes, let's talk about that. What is your thoughts on we got a man from overseas. We got a little
yeah.
British man coming over, and
He's about to be all pro his first year.
yeah. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna take the football down and score some touchdowns?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe not some touchdowns. He's gonna get to the 30-yard line a lot.
Well, hey, we didn't talk about this either. UFL. If anyone watches the UFL kickoff, what do you think of the new kickoff?
It's gonna be fun. I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, that was the funnest part of the game, and we got a rugby guy who's used to just running into piles of people immediately. We're gonna have the best kicker in the league, just like we did last year. We're gonna have the best punt returner in the league with Kadarius Toney focusing primarily.
Yeah, he's got to stay focused, Kadarius.
Yep. And we're gonna have the best kick returner with a Reese Zamitz, aka Lee Summit.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
You know what Lee Summit is, even though you live in Florida.
Yeah, no, I know Lee Summit. That's
I know.
Yes, sir. You may have to get that rolling with him.
That's like a terrible nickname. I saw it online. It's terrible, but I'll use it for ironic purposes.
Yeah, if it's not out there, then you need to start maybe copyrighting it or something. Maybe it's like they call him the Lightning. I'm excited for it. If anyone watches the UFL, basically the kickoff rules are different. It basically essentially makes the kick returner. It's not really. There's no touchbacks, so it makes the kick returner take the kicks out. And if you watch the UFL, guys are getting to like the 25-yard line or 30-yard line like every single time, and then that's their 30-yard line. Not like they're getting to like the opponent. No, they're getting to literally their own 30. Like they're taking them back almost every single time. It makes I don't know what it is, how that's set up, but it's very effective. And it makes guys that are good at kick returning actually do their job. So you have Kadarius Toney, guys like that. This is going to be very helpful towards them. I think that's one of the reasons why they brought Zamet on is because, again, he doesn't take a practice squad spot away, and he's basically going to make the team no matter what, unless he's horrible, unless he's terrible, because he doesn't take a training camp spot away. You can add 92, and it doesn't take a practice squad spot away because he is an overseas player. So he's going to make the team. So to me, this is a win-win situation, and I'm excited for it.
I am too. Very excited.
Yep, very excited. We're going to have I think he's British, a Brit. I know he has a British accent, but a Brit.
Welsh. I'm actually not sure.
Well, yeah, Welsh. I don't know what he is. No disrespect to him, but we're excited to have someone up from over beyond the way, extending the kingdom. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, he's Welsh. Yeah.
Welsh, okay. Let me know what you guys think of some of the moves the Chiefs have made. The draft, guys, it is a couple weeks away. So we want to know what the Chiefs are going to do in each and every round. We may have a little video coming out where I kind of break down each and every round coming up. And guys, listen, we are going to have more consistent times. I know we're kind of posting as is during the off season. Some of my medical stuff, that's just how it works for us, best for us. But once training camp starts, we are going to be back on a regular schedule. But just posting as is right now. That'll do it for today's episode of the TBT podcast. We will see you guys next time.